Welcome to the Sanity Project podcast, where you can awaken your mind to clarity and success even in today's life challenges. We're here to provide insights and solutions that will help you live a sane, healthy, and prosperous life. Here's your host, Joanne Victoria.
Hello, everybody. This is Joanne Victoria with another amazing episode of the Sanity Project podcast. You are here to discover a life of clarity, confidence, sanity, and entrepreneurial success. And our guest today will certainly give it to you. His name is Bob Wheeler, and he's written a book called Money Nerve, Navigating Emotions. It's available everywhere, certainly at Amazon and on his website called themoneynerve.com. I just love saying those words. Bob Wheeler helps listeners conquer their money shame and avoid making poor financial decisions by teaching how emotions can dictate our choices. As a man of true integrity with infectious energy, Bob's crusade for personal growth has cross-pollinated with his accounting practice to create a new approach to personal finances. His passion is to help others gain insights about how their emotions trigger financial decisions. Combining finances with behaviors, Bob explores his personal concept of creating a healthy relationship with money in his recent book, The Money Nerve. Welcome to the show, Bob Wheeler.
Thank you so much, Joanne. It's so great to be here.
I am glad that you're here, and our listeners will certainly be grateful that you are here once they hear what you have to say. So, I know you didn't just wake up one day at the age of 6 and said, I'm going to write this book called The Money Nerve and help all of these people who have problems with money. So where has your life, how did you get here?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I actually woke up at 6 years old and said, I want to be a lawyer.
I knew you'd have that. I knew you'd have that kind of an answer.
So I was all set. I was in college. I was taking law and legal research, Constitution law. I was set to go. And I was taking accounting to just help my grade point average because everybody knows accounting's so easy and fun. And so I was doing that. And I realized as I met more and more attorneys that I didn't really like many of the attorneys that I met. And I went into the accounting because it was just something that came easy. It felt a little too easy, but it was something that I liked. And as I became a CPA, I realized, wow, I don't have as much money as some of the people that have lesser titles in my company where I work. And I was also doing stand-up comedy and doing creative stuff, but I had a belief, that you can't do creative stuff because it doesn't pay. So you got to be successful. You got to be rich. You are your accomplishments. So that's where I started from. And as I started meeting with clients and realizing that they were making decisions that were in complete opposition of what seemed like really good, sound advice, I started realizing, people are triggered by something else other than the facts. And so I started then doing my own personal journey on my financial self-sabotage and started, just realizing from my history and the undervoice, what I was telling myself. And so one day I was sitting at the Comedy Store and a friend of mine came in. She was crying because her family had just shamed her because her family, they were all doctors and she was a comic. And I said, you know what? Everybody around you probably has as many financial problems as you do, probably even worse. And she was like, what? And I said, you're not the only person. And so at that point I said, you know what? I got to write this book. So many people I meet think they're the only person that didn't get the financial download. And there's a lot of shame. And so I really wanted people to know that they're not alone. And I really wanted people to know that most of us didn't get the financial education that we think everybody else got. And here we are.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's kind of, the shame enters into it, but it's kind of a selfish approach looking at it from a macro view that you think you're the only one.
Yeah, well, for sure.
It's like, wait a minute, there's books upon shelves upon shelves of books in the library and bookstores about money. Why do you think they're there? And I don't even know if people go that far to even research it. They're just because the shame about money stagnates people's growth.
Absolutely.
It just stops them from moving forward in any direction. They're not even spinning around anymore. They're like those wine corkscrews. You just put it in and you're stuck right there in the bottle of wine.
Yep.
It's very sad. It's very, very sad. I'm not saying I haven't experienced it myself, people. Those who are listening, I'm not perfect. I'm perfectly imperfect. So I've had my share of all sorts of things, and I usually write about them. But maybe now I'll write a little bit more about money as we move forward. So when you say the book came into your mind, where did the Money Nerve title come from? Because I think it's this amazing title.
Well, thank you. So as I was writing the book, I didn't have a title at the time. I knew it was about emotions and money. And so it was like navigating, things like that. And I was talking to different people. And what kept coming up was that talking about money or having experiences around money, whether it's good or bad, it's a visceral reaction. It's in our body. And so it hits a nerve. We get triggered. And so we were throwing out names, and somebody threw out, what do you think with a money nerve? Maybe that's what you're trying to say. And I went, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. So I can't take full credit, but it was really my desire to find something that really talked about how it actually lives within us.
Well, if you hadn't created the opportunity, that person wouldn't have thought of the title. So don't worry, you take credit. Okay. So I'm telling you, and I mean, I have worked with book coaches. They say, you don't put the title first. You put the content first. The title will come. The title will come. It's like even writing an article about this. So, it might be a little soon to discuss this, but I'm going right into it. You have an online course, and yes, people, sometimes they come on the show to sell a product. Mm-hmm. It's okay. This is good. Bob Wheeler is good. So you have an online course about what?
Well, it's about navigating the emotions of money. It's actually going and reverse engineering and taking you back to your history and trying to figure out where you picked up certain beliefs, certain money blocks, self-worth. And we just guide you through the different stages. We start looking at what emotions come up for you, what fears do you have. So many people have fear of the IRS coming to take them away. There's no debtor's prison. And so then we go through practical steps on how to do a budget. We talk about honest budgeting. You have to actually put down the little secret things you spend money on so we can figure out where it's going. Then we set out to show you how to do a blueprint for creating this is the goal that I want, and these are the steps that I need to get there. So we help people with baby steps to then accomplish their goals. We help people with starting to save money that haven't saved it before and finding that balance. We explore the importance of words. I'll have people tell me, oh, I'm broke, instead of maybe I'm cash flow tight at the moment. And starting to hear ourselves about, oh, I need. And so we just walk you through all of those different aspects of our relationship with money so that we become more conscious and intentional in having a healthier relationship with money. So
in my experience, people with a lot of money, and I'm talking about boatloads of money. I'm not talking about $1,000. I'm talking millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. Either they inherited it or they earned it. Right. Do you find there's a distinction between those who inherit and versus earn?
Yeah, I actually find that people that have earned it tend to be a lot more appreciative of it. And it's not categorically true of every single person, but a lot of people, I've worked with a lot of trust fund babies that are now adults, but still babies. And they're blowing through that money. They're just, they're entitled to it. There's a little bit of entitlement and not a real understanding that this was actually a gift that they received. That they came into a family that had wealth,
Sure.
And so I do find that people that earn it have much more appreciation for it and realize that money can come and go. And also that even though you may have hundreds of millions of dollars, exponentially your happiness does not increase by the same percentage.
It's true, isn't it? I know there might be, a slight subversive approach from people who inherited it, but there are some of them, a percentage, who do not think they deserve what they received.
Absolutely. And I see that a lot as well.
Yeah, and that must be very difficult to deal with. I mean, I know that there are people who I got all this money, I don't know what to do with it, start charities and all stuff like that, but they are still internally screwed up.
That's right.
Yeah. So go ahead, tell me about that.
Well, it's so interesting. I mean, I've seen a few different situations like that where, I'm making all this money, or I received all this money, I don't deserve it, and so let me give it to everybody else, and maybe they'll like me, and maybe they won't judge me. Or I've had people who, they had a lot of money, they owned the house, they lost all their money, but then they had to pretend like they still had money. So they were running around pretending so that nobody would know that they didn't have it. So then there was all this, I'm a fraud. If people find out, I'm so worthless, I'm so undeserving. And, it's amazing. People think, oh, well, if you have money, it just makes it easier. Or let me have money and I'll deal with the problems. Money just magnifies the issues that you have internally going on. Mm-hmm. If you're a great person, that's going to be magnified. If you're not such a great person, that's going to be magnified as well.
And the approach to money, the approach to the money nerve can change over time depending upon other relationships that you might be involved in. It's not, once people make a decision, it's not the end. You, of course, have the online course. You have your own coaching, I presume.
Yes.
And you have your book to help people do this. But there are valleys and hills throughout life, and there are valleys and hills about money.
Well, absolutely. And I always tell people the good news, bad news is this is a lifelong endeavor. We don't figure it out and then go, great, I get to close the book. I figured out the money. I never have to look again. No, you have to participate. You have to proactively have this relationship with money until the end, because it's something, it's fluid. And you may come into more money, or you may hit one of those valleys. You need to be able to stay in relationship with the money instead of taking yourself out.
Yeah, I'm of the type that believes you're born this way. You come into your life with whatever your generational issues are, mm-hmm. and one of them happens to be money, and it finds you. It finds that empty space within yourself, because even though all of these characteristics come through, they have to find a home.
Right.
They have to find a home. And if you are, you maybe have been a happy child, a happy teenager, and your life is going fine, you won't have a money nerve, not to the extent that you could have had if you go, I'm a mess, give me all the crap you have.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's so important to realize that we all get handed different things, even within the same family. Mm-hmm. My older sibling or my younger sibling might have a completely different take on things. Or my mom might have said something that I took very serious and everybody else thought it was a joke. And then I carry that for the rest of my life going, no, this is the thing about money.
Right.
Making this decision at 5 years old.
Well, it happens. It happens all the time. I mean, There's, each individual, I've said recently that we are all in existence and we're all wearing diving suits. So you can't see our faces. You don't know who we are. And the only difference is internal. And this money nerve issue that you have is internal. It's not external. It manifests in the external and the internal, but it's mostly internal. And, you provide an opportunity for people to source it. And those of you who are listening who go, I've done that before, open up your bank account and tell me how much money you have in the bank account. Then you can tell me how much you've done this before. If you are happy with the amount of money that you have in your life, mazel tov, grateful, good, lucky you. But if you're not, you have to look inside. And Bob Wheeler presents an alternative to, jumping off the bridge.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's interesting when you talk about looking at your bank account, we all have a comfort level. And so for some people, that's not being overdrawn. For some people, that's having $5,000 in the bank, or it's $100,000. And then when we get a large windfall and it's above our comfort level, we try and push it away because we need to get back to our comfort level.
Yes.
And so it's like, oh, that's too much money. Let me get rid of that. People will judge me. I'm comfortable with this amount. I'm comfortable with this lot in life. And I've seen people give away large amounts of money or spend it frivolously because they didn't want to have the responsibility of having to set a boundary, telling somebody no, or having people judge them.
Yeah, it's a tough thing because money interferes itself in many parts of our lives and the lives of people around us, whether we own our own business or are even an employee in somebody else's business, because it affects how generous you can be in your life, because generosity is not about money. Not only about money. It can be about money. That's tangential, but generosity is about appreciation for yourself, for others, and so on and so forth, and how you can just give for the sake of giving. But when you have this money come in, and that, then you can become stingy. You can rub those little pennies and nickels and dimes, if we still have them, into, out of existence.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think what you're saying about generosity and gratitude, it's so important. For me, I was raised, and I think a lot of people were raised this way, and it might be also slightly gender issued, but I am my success. I have to have A's. I need to have a great job. I have to have a great title. And so when you're spinning your wheels trying to check all these boxes, it's that's who I am. And I was fortunate enough to travel to many developing countries and see all these people that were financially poor but incredibly happy and emotionally abundant. And I thought, what's wrong with these people? And then I had to realize, let me look at my socializing, how I was socialized, and let me do some reprogramming on my end, because they actually are onto something.
Well, not only that, but you can't compare yourself. No one can compare yourself to anyone, let alone people from another country. It's kind of difficult to do that. And, the context is not there. The context is just invisible. So when we talk about generosity and gratitude and you are your success, I remember it snapped into one synapses live now, because there was one time when I was in school and I came home with an A-. Now, I don't know how anybody gives somebody else an A-. I mean, what does that mean? You were less than perfect or whatever? Yeah. That's a B. Okay, less than perfect is a B. So my mother, I think it was my mother, probably my mother, why couldn't you do better? Why do you have an A-? And I thought, well, I have the same question.
Yes.
But there are expectations that we have internally and that our family has around us, especially when we're young. About many things that go on in our life. So if you have this flag you have to carry that says I am a success, even if you don't feel like it, because who knows what success truly means,
right?
Each individual person. It's interesting. It's curious. It's nervy, shall we say. So
absolutely.
In this course that you have, is there any opportunity for the participants to speak with you personally?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a couple of different ways people can do the course. They can just do a self-course and go through it by themselves. And then we also offer, I offer coaching sessions to do one-on-one with people. And then we also have a money processing group that meets every other week, that people can come in and just meet with other people that are talking through their financial issues. But the one-on-one coaching, I think, is really helpful for people because some of it gets a little uncomfortable. And I've been surprised at people that have said, I'll do the course, but I think I've got everything together. And they come back and said, oh my God, I had to meet with my therapist over and over and over. All this stuff came up. Yeah. And, and we made so many of our decisions when we were 5, 6, and 7. And many of us are still operating from those contracts or beliefs that we picked up at that time. And maybe a 5 or 6-year-old isn't the best person making lifelong decisions for us.
I totally agree. Most people don't even understand that concept that, we're pretty much done by the time we're 5, 6, or 7. We're done.
Yeah.
And anything that we have learned, we attract other things and people in our lives to reinforce what we've taken on from our parents and our grandparents and cousins and whatever kind of unique environment you had as a child. And this is the truth. And to see that, I know children are smarter today. Believe me, do I know that? They're much more intelligent than, generations past, but it's all consistent with what's going on in the bigger world. People don't there's more outside of yourself, people, than just the face in the mirror. So you could learn from a lot of people. But when those decisions are made, as you're saying, you've got your first grader making decisions about a 50-year-old or more in business or in the world or in investing, in purchasing. And that's dumb.
Well, absolutely. And at 5 and 6, we don't realize that we're getting filtered information. And so if mom or dad tells us we're terrible at math, or, oh, you're just a creative child, you can never have this or that. And then we go, oh, that must be true. They must know better than I. They must know something. And then we take that on.
It's true. It's true. Okay. So people, themoneynerve.com. The book is there, as well as other places on Amazon, The Money Nerve, Navigating Emotions. And you can find Bob at media at The Money Nerve or themoneynerve.com. So what could you tell people right now, besides buying your book and checking out and hopefully purchasing your online course, what can they do today about their money? What could give them a task that they can maybe to discover where they are with their money, or what their issues might be, or how they can get out of money hell?
Absolutely. Well, there's 3 things that I would say to do. I would say if you're not saving, start saving now. Even if it's $5 a week, start that habit of creating some money for the future. That's easy and immediate. Get an online bank account, not attached to your regular account, and start putting away as little as $5 and start watching that grow. Second thing is to actually start looking at your spending. Pull out your credit card bill. Pull out your bank account statement. Look and see if you're paying for online internet that you're not using anymore. If you're paying for a gym membership that you no longer use. Look at your cell phone bill. I was paying for a free iPad for 6 months because the guy told me it was free, and I was like, oh, it's free, and I didn't look. So those are 2 big things. And then the third thing is, ask yourself, what do I want out of life? Where do I want to be in 10 years? And then look at your spending and what you're doing today to see if that's in integrity with what you say you want to have in the future.
Perfect. And I would just add one more thing that I find works for me. Mm-hmm. Set up with your bank so that you get a notification when $10 or more dollars or $5 or more dollars or $20 or more dollars is taken out of your account.
Nice.
And it really keeps you on purpose about where your money is going.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Just for me, it's like, let's get intentional and be conscious about how we spend so that we can actually spend for the things we say we want.
Absolutely. I want to thank Bob Wheeler for being here today. I love him. I love talking about money. I love talking about gratitude and generosity. And I want everyone who's listening right now to go back to square one, rewind, and listen to this podcast again. I always tell my listeners, listen to the podcast again, because it's going to help you, because you've heard 10%. The other 90% is going to be in the notes that you take on your little yellow pad, iPad, or even, God forbid, Word. I think writing things down with your hand connects your brain a little bit more definitely. And once you do that, share this with others. Share this recording with everybody else that you know, certainly those who are in your immediate arena who are supporting your feelings, supporting the way you live your life. I'm talking about emotionally. Thanks, Bob, for being here. And I want to also, those of you who haven't got my free book, please go to my please go to my website at Ask Joanne Victoria. I'm going to edit this out, askjoannevictoria.com/podcasts to get a copy of the True Self Handbook, a guide to transform your life. Thank you, everybody. Talk soon.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sanity Project podcast. Please go to askjoannevictoria.com to listen to more podcasts. Check out Joanne's coaching programs and get a free copy of her report, 5 Steps to Achieve Life-Work Harmony. That's askjoannevictoria.com. Take care, and thanks for being here.